This is it. The very first episode of my new podcast. It's finally here, and it's called The Emma Stratton Show. Now, when I decided to start a new podcast, I was not planning to name it after myself at all. I wanted to name it something else, actually, but I could not find a good name. Like, no one told me how hard it would be to name my own podcast. I think I came up with about 10 billion names. Most of them were pretty bad. There were a few okay ones, but none of them felt quite right to me because they were all very specific and niche about a certain thing. And my worry is that this show could evolve and change, and I might be stuck with a name that doesn't work anymore, and then I'd have to rename it, etc. So I figured, you know what? Let me just name it after myself because things will change, but I will continue to be Emma Stratton. And so that's why we have that name today. But I'm really excited about this podcast. Now, this first episode that you're about to hear, I recorded it early this year in January 2025. And it is the why I started this podcast episode. And it was pretty difficult to shoot this one as well. It's almost as hard as trying to come up with a name to try and really encapsulate all the reasons I'm doing this podcast and where I'm hoping to go with it. Because the honest answer is I don't fully know where it's going to go. All I know is that I have been feeling this urge, this calling to do this podcast, to find a new space where I can talk about and explore a lot of the new ideas and experiences I've had behind the scenes of growing my business over the past few years. And I wanted a place where I could just share my thoughts with good people like you. So thankfully, I recorded this episode with a producer who helped me get through it. And hopefully this episode won't deter you from listening to all the other episodes that will be coming after it. I'm going to be interviewing a lot of really cool folks, some successful business owners, cool people who have really done it their way, who have really interesting points of view about business and other ways that you can grow. And I've also got interviews with some experts in areas like mindset and energy work, so we can dive into some of these practices that I love so much that have made such a big difference in my life. And I'm also going to just be sharing episodes like this, talking to you. I'm really excited for it, and I hope you enjoy this first episode. Welcome to the Emma Stratton Show. This is a podcast that's all about sharing unconventional advice that will inspire you to create a business that reflects your true self, so you can experience greater freedom and abundance in your work and life. And I'm your host, Emma. Before we dive into what the Emma Stratton Show is all about and what you're going to learn and why I even started it, I thought it made sense to share a little bit about myself and my story, because that's where it all begins. So I'm a founder of a business called Punchy, which is messaging for tech companies. And I've been doing it for a really long time, about 9 years. And I'm known for it in business and in tech. But that's actually only a really small part of who I actually am. And over the past few years, as I've built Punchy and grown, I have discovered so many things about myself, about life, about the world, unwittingly through entrepreneurship. And these are the things that define me more. I am a creative person. I'm an artist at heart. I was born that way. I've always been into drawing and writing. I'm a free-form thinker. I love freedom. I hate rigidity and rules and all of those things. And I'm heart-led. I'm someone who just naturally finds it easy to listen to my heart and follow it. I take big risks and big moves based on what my heart tells me. I've been doing it since I was a kid, and I've continued to do it as an adult and through having a business and running it and growing and learning all those things from it. And now I'm in this place where I am ready to really explore these things that I've been learning over the past few years behind the scenes of growing Punchy, the inner work, mind, body, spirit things that have really helped me grow my business. I'm really wanting to dive deeper into those things, to share my story with everything that I've learned, but also to learn more about these areas like mindset, like manifestation, like energy work, all of these things. I want to learn more from experts and speak to people who are also using these types of unconventional modalities, if you will, to help move through life, build businesses, and follow their dreams. There is this belief that if you want to start a business, you got to write a business plan. Show me the business plan, right? I never wrote a business plan for my business. In fact, I'm 9 years in, pretty sure I couldn't write a formal business plan. Never did a business plan. And instead, I kind of just did what felt right. I just went for it, kind of tried to figure it out and do it my way. And my way involved, well, one, seeing a problem that was meaningful and an opportunity to help people. That was the driving motivation. And then lots of trial and error, lots of taking risks, and quite frankly, not being super educated in some of the risks I was taking, but taking risks, trying things, and following my heart and my inner wisdom, that inner guidance, that quiet voice inside of me that was telling me to keep going, even when things seemed hard. So the world of business and entrepreneurial advice is full of fail-proof, step-by-step processes and frameworks and things that you can follow to achieve X, Y, or Z. I think if you're someone who's thinking about starting a business or you have a business, you have also been inundated by all this advice from influencers and gurus. And I tried a lot of those things early in my business in my attempt to kind of make it something real and make it something sustainable. But a lot of those processes, while they made sense on a rational level, really didn't work for me. I would try them, but I didn't get the transformative results that everyone was promising me. And so while processes and step-by-step approaches can be really, really helpful in areas, when it comes to fundamentally growing your business and taking, whether you're starting a business or growing more, you need more than just a step-by-step approach that worked for someone. I really believe that there is not one way to reach success and there's not one kind of success. Sure, there's a dominant message out there as to what success looks like. Millions of dollars, private jet, great cars, whatever. But success, I've found, is actually really personal, that we all have our own personal definition of success. And what I think is success to me may not be to you. So me personally, success is freedom, is the freedom to do as I please, and also peace, knowing that I'm taken care of. Like, to me, that is success. And that might not be your definition. Yours might be a little bit different, but we all have a different definition of success. And therefore, there is not one size fits all path to success if we all have a different definition of success, which means that we all have unique paths to take to reach our own personal definition of success. That's one of the biggest things I discovered when I built Punchy through the years, was that the big unlock for me was when I realized that actually what I was on the inside would help my business on the outside. And what I needed to grow my business was different from what other people needed. But for me, it just worked. And so I'm really passionate about this idea that we all inside of us have a personal key to our own personal success. And it really has to do with how you're wired, what's in your heart, your greater purpose, your talents, your gifts. All of those things are breadcrumbs leading you towards this vision, this future for yourself that is what you want, which is success in your heart, whether that is more time to spend with your kids. Maybe it's more time gardening. Maybe it's starting a business. Maybe it's spending more time in nature. Like, it could be anything, but you have a unique path and an ability to get where you're hoping to go. And it has everything to do with who you are on that deepest level. So I've always been someone who has been aware of my intuition, that sixth sense. It comes to me in thoughts and feelings. But probably one of the biggest and first times I really answered my intuition in regards to my business was back in 2020. So in the years leading up to 2020, they were grind years. It was just me. Punchy was just me. I was essentially a solo freelancer working my butt off, trying all the step-by-step processes and process and all those things you're supposed to be doing. And it wasn't really working. I was really aware at the time that even though I was self-employed, I had essentially created a job that I now wanted to leave. It was very hard. Everything just felt like a grind. And I had tried courses. I tried some business coaches, and I'd invested quite a bit, and I still felt like I was stuck. I was barely replacing my full-time paycheck at that point, and I felt stuck. And then 2020 happened, and the world stopped, and it was, in a dark place, and the phone stopped ringing, and I really didn't know what was going to happen with the world. I think we all remember that moment where we're like, will business ever come back? Will that be a thing? I remember at that time just feeling really, really scared because Punchy was how my family ate. And I had been trying so hard doing all the things, and it just wasn't working. And I remember I would go on runs during that time, and this voice in my head was like, try something else, right? And I had this sense I got to try something else. I got this sense I had to talk to my friend Francis, who was an energy coach and a healer. And every time I would go for a run, I would get this sense like, go talk to Francis. So I did. I talked to my friend who was an energy healer. And back then, I didn't really know what that meant. I knew she was spiritual and into woo-woo stuff, and I didn't really know what she did. And I asked her, can you help me with my business? And she said, well, yeah, I can help you work with your energy, and then that will help your business grow. And I remember thinking, okay, I'll take your word for it. But something in me said, Emma, the old ways, everything you've tried has not worked. Why not try this? And I very much had the sense that I should pursue this, even though I didn't know what the heck it really was. And I put my faith in that feeling, and I embarked on energy work and the spiritual journey, really, that changed everything for my business. In fact, from starting that work and being in that really dark place where I was a overworked solo freelancer, barely replacing my paycheck that I had as a full-time employee, over the course of 3 years, I eventually scaled my business to 7 figures, which is unheard of for someone like me from where I've come from. And it was 100% down to the work, the inner work that I had been doing and the things I had learned. And that's when I realized this is amazing. Really, your inner growth and who you are on the inside and the way you take care of yourself manifest directly in your outer world, in your career, in your business. And it can go both ways, right? It can expand, it can restrict, but it's almost like magic. For me, it felt like magic. And I thought, why the heck did I not hear about this? Okay, I was reading all this stuff. I was trying to figure out, flailing around in the early years of my business. Nowhere did I come across anything that could have given me a hint that maybe I wanted to look inward. And from that point, I really got hooked. I started eating up anything, any material around all these things. And I started talking to other entrepreneurs as well. I would share my experience in passing. I would share a bit on social media. And what I noticed is that people would lean in. People were hungry to hear these stories because people were like me in those moments of indecision where you're feeling stuck, you don't know where to go, you're trying to do the right thing and follow all the steps and all the advice, and it's not working for some reason. And so this message that I've been starting to share, that hey, the answers are in you, and that actually when you can live your life in a way that's really aligned with who you are in your deepest level, when it celebrates your talents, it doesn't ignore them, when it honors your purpose, when you lead with your feelings, actually everything can change. Your business can grow, your career can grow, but beyond that, it becomes more fulfilling. The work itself becomes more fulfilling. And I found that you just feel more free and inspired. And so ever since that time, I knew that I wanted to explore this more, and I wanted to share my experience and these messages with other people to help other folks who are in the same place that I've been, not knowing kind of where to go. Maybe you're thinking about throwing in the towel completely. Maybe you're thinking you might want to start a business, but you're not sure if you can. Maybe you're working in a career and you're wondering, is this it? Right? Those are all places that I've been. And so I'm really excited to share some of these ideas with you, things I've learned, but also to bring in other folks, business owners, people who have found success their way, right? Who've been true to themselves, who've done it in unconventional ways, not always following the step-by-step approach. And then I'm also going to bring in experts in some of these areas like meditation, mindfulness, manifestation, energy work, all these really cool things that I hope you'll find cool, but things that have really helped me, really neat tools and techniques and things that you can bring into your life that make a change to your business, but most importantly, can really make a change to your life. So something I really believe is that there is not just one way to success. There is your way to success, and it is absolutely linked with your talents, your natural gifts, your calling, whatever you want to call it. We need more people in this world owning their gifts and using them. Okay, our world needs that right now, and that is why we have them. And so I am hoping that this podcast helps you awaken to and embrace your own gifts and start to use them in the world in a really powerful and loving way. Hey, my friend, you've been listening to The Emma Stratton Show. If you'd like to follow me in my writing, you can find me on Substack. Thanks again for listening.